And today we make a short introduction into Flask, which is important for the project. So we can just start. So for the project, you can register as well. The Moodle platform is still down, so you will have more time, as well as for the exercise sheets, which you can hand in. When Moodle platform is up again. So what I want to show you today is a little bit about web development, especially with Flask. And web development is like conceptualizing, creating, deploying, and what you can also do with programming, but as for an interface for the web. And there are many different platforms or frameworks you can use. So there's Flask, there's Django, Bottle, but there are many others. But we choose to use Flask for this reason, because Flask is pretty popular and flexible framework, and this is a micro framework. And a micro framework means that the core of Flask is pretty easy and pretty simple, but you can scale this up to much complexer web application. This means you don't have to put in too much effort to make a web application, but if you want to, you can make a pretty cool application. And this is up to you just for the project. You will see. Okay, this is how we start. Today we start how to set up Flask and how to make a little database. But for the project, you will become a database, so you don't have to initiate one. But this is what we do today. And for this reason, we do first want to make a virtual environment. Oh, I don't want this. So we have to go to our PyCharm and to be in our folder where we want to start. Oh, I see I'm already in a. Okay, so to make a new virtual environment, we have to type in. Can you see this? Oh. So, Python -m virtual environment. Oh, well, I see we are already in a virtual environment. Should know. So, and here, can you see this? I'm not sure if you can I zoom this in? No. Okay, so we created a new folder at this point, our virtual environment, where we do not have to install everything on the computer. So this is inside this virtual environment, and we have to activate this virtual environment at first. This is for Windows users. This is we have this one vn/scripts and activate, but this can activate. This can differ from operating system. So we can upload links for other sites where you can see what you have to type in. So this can be simple as well as if you do have to make other slashes, or you have to activate from another program. Okay, so to start our project, we want to make a folder to deploy our app. So this can be done by make directory app, and so we have our application. So here at the top there's our app. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it worked. You have to believe in me. Okay. So so this is what we've done at first. So then we have. After this, we have to install Flask. So if we don't already have Flask installed, we have to do pip install Flask. So and now Flask will be installed inside your virtual environment. This means if you delete your virtual environment, Flask is as well deleted. So you don't have to let it stay on your computer. And if you want to check if Flask is okay, if Flask it was installed, we can start our Python terminal and try to import Flask. And if this works without any errors, this is quite okay. Okay, so then we can put it out. Okay, this was the installation of Flask, which is pretty simple and pretty easy. And so now we can start to set up our Flask project. So at first we will create an init.py, so to make initializations, and init.py, where we do simply, I can zoom this in. Do you have questions? A moment. You can also share this link if you have the. Okay, so okay, and in our init.py we want to import Flask. So we can make from Flask, from our package we already installed, we import Flask, which is our so, and then we can say our app equals Flask, and then this stands for the name of our directory. So this name at this side. Okay, and then we have to from app we import roots already. Roots is a Python we do create now. So in this roots we want to make our indexes from the site. So this means we create our roots in the app package. And this is the site where everything happens. So for what we want to show on the web application. So at this point we want to, from app we import our app. So this means our app here. So what we have here, and then we can make with this app.root. This is our URL at the beginning. So with this URL we have the main page if nothing else is written down. But we can also write another index which called index. Index. And the only thing we want to do right now, if we call this index, is to make a hello world return, so that we can see that what we've done did work. So write down. So this is the only thing. This is pretty simple, but this is to show how it works. Okay, and then we have to define a main. So this is what will be started at a point. And this we have to put in here. Oh, let's wait. Don't do this. Okay, so in our app, this we have to create now a top level package. So we have here our package app where everything else happens. But we have to create the main.py in our top level package, just one above, right here. And then we have our main. And the only thing we have to write down there at the beginning is from app import app. So this is our application at this point. Okay, so the only thing we have to do right now to make sure that our app is running is we have to set our main as the program which should be started. To do this always, to not set this, need to set this every time, we can make a dot environment. So we can create a file which is called .flaskenv, and there we can write down what our program is, which will be started at the beginning. But for this we have to install at first python.env, which we can do with the, oh, I don't see anything, which we can do with the pip install, so it can be pretty fast. And if we create our, there's one right here, here in the top level package, we can create our file called flaskenv, and then we say flask app equals main.py, and this is it. So if we then write down in our terminal Flask 1, we simply started our application, and so if we go from you cannot see this. Let's go up here. Here we have our application now with our simple method hello world, which is now started. Can I zoom in here? Hello world with our URL, but if we type down index, we come to the exact same thing, which is the same because we declared it right here in roots. What we would have done if we have index. Okay, this is your first web application at this point. This was pretty easy. Yeah, what you can see here, you can just simply type in PyCharm to this URL, or you can type it in your browser if you want to. This is your local browser. Okay, as well, if you have questions, or we have only a few members, but try to ask. The next point is we want to create now a database. For your project, you will also have to work with a database. You will become some data. This will be customer data and order data, where you have to work with the data and make some statistics or find out some properties. So at this point, to create, now we want to create this database, but you will become a database from us. So a database is simply a place where you can store your data in an efficient way, in a structured way. So it requires typically a database management system, which can make your performance much more better. And you can retrieve data from an update and manage the database how you want. So there are different database systems as well. So there's SQLite, MySQL, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, but much more. So in this project, we will use SQLite, but for Flask, this is not really necessary which database you use. So this is what we can show on the next slide. So Flask has an extension where you can make your database, which is called Flask SQL Alchemy, and then you can use whatever database you want. So you are pretty free at this point. So what to create now? So if you want to, you need to install this first. Our Flask Alchemy. Looks right. Yes. So we have to install the necessary packages. And then pip Flask install Flask migrate. Just another method to work with the database. And okay, so you can make robust changes to your database. So if you change anything in your code with the migrate, you don't make something broken or something else. Is a pretty good point for this. Okay, so now what we have to do now is we need to show our Flask environment where is our database. So for now we have no database, but it's no problem. So we can simply we have to make a config file in the top level package, where our main file is, and create our config. And we there have to show where's our data. Where's our database? So at first we import OS, which stands for operating system. So from this import we can go to our paths, and we make our base directory, which is operating system path dot absolute path, and then the path to our file name, and then our file here, which you can make with these lines. Forgot the word. So okay, and then we want to create the class config, which we need later on in our init class to make sure where's our database. And this inherits from object, and we have our URL, SQL Alchemy database URI is our environment. I will type this punkt environment dot get, and then we have database URL. So if we don't know what this is, we need to make another string called SQLite. So because we are using SQLite, plus system path. So now again our path that we have is our base directory, so which we declared at the top of this file, and we call our database app.db. .db. So this is the name of our database at the end. Oh. And we have at least SQL track modifications, which we can set. Modifications, which we can set to false. So we have to type down pretty much things. It's not that optimal. So okay, this is our config file at this point, where we can show our Flask environment, where's our database. And at the next point, we have to integrate this into our init file. So everything which is green at this point is new from here. So we have from config, we import our class config, which we created before. And then we have our SQL Alchemy, Flask Alchemy. SQL Alchemy import. And our Flask migrate as well. So we have Flask. Import migrate. So what you can see there is that I've still got the same bug as the whole time, but it works, so everything's fine. So then we have to make our config at this point for our app. So app.pointConfig from object, our config class here. And then we can set our database, which is DB, and there we have SQL Alchemy, and then our app. And to migrate, this is the same thing. To be able to migrate this, we can create migrate, which is migrate app and our database. So from this point, and this was wrong. To create at next is the class models, so we can still write it down there. Class models, we will create templates for our database content. So we have our new class models, and here we will create the template for our customer at this point. So then we have to create a new class called models. And here we import our database. So import our DB. Then we create our class for the customer. So customer, which inherits from a DB model, which is the upper class, where we can inherit some functions from. And then we can declare what our customer does have. So we have a column ID. So every customer has an ID, which is an integer, and which is a primary key, which means that this is a key which stands for every entry, which needs to be unique. Primary key, which is true. And which is, we have to be sure that this is unique as well. So next we have a username. Every customer needs to have a username or name. Then we have our column again, which is now at this point as a string. And here we can set a maximum length, which can mean 64. And we can make, if we write down index on this, inside our database, we're a little bit more faster if we are searching from this, which makes sense if we have, if this is, yeah, sometimes this makes sense if we want to be a little bit faster from searching or something else, which can be also unique at this point. It needs to be unique. So we knew who's writing down. And an email. So to make sure that this customer could participate, we need to have an email. So which can be a little bit longer, 120, or let's make it 28. Also have an index. And it should be unique. And last but not least, we need or at this point we don't even need a password. So we can skip this out, so don't need too long. After that, we can make a representation of our customers. It's like if we want to print it out, so we can say representation and want to return a simple string which says customer. We have our brackets like this. And then we make out a format with our username. Okay, it's our customer at this point. The models. After that, we will also make orders for this. So, but at first, we will want to create the database, the table for our database for our customer. So to do this with your database, you can go into your terminal again and type Flask. So because we don't have any database at the moment right now, so we can make init to create a new database. This one, yeah. And then we have shortly to wait. So and after that, we want to create our customer table. So this is what we do right now. So we create -m customers table. This is what it is. So this now we created this one, and in Flask, this will look into this models.py and looks up if this works. So and after that, if we can use the upgrade function, if we use upgrade, we are writing down this inside our database. But if we say downgrade, nothing happens. So this will be deleted. So like a redo function if you want so. So, but at this point, we want to upgrade this. And now it's writing down inside our database. I'm not sure if we can see this here. No, not here. I don't think that you can read this. I cannot zoom this in right now. But there we have our app.db and which we have now created. Okay. Next one are our orders. Oh, I have to type down pretty much. But for our orders, we can make a class orders as well for the DB models from DB model. And then we have also an ID, description, customer ID. But what we do have as well is a relation to our customers. So here we write down inside our customer that we have an orders for the customer, and we have a relation. So we have a relationship between our orders and our customers, which is now presented in our customer. So we have backward to customer, and is the equals dynamic. This is dynamic. Okay. So and then we can make we have our order ID as before for our customers. So we have now again a column. Or can I one moment make this a little bit more faster? It's pretty much the same. Then we have a description of our what we have inside our order. Description, which is a so we can write down what is this, so we can make this even longer if we want to, so whatever we want to describe. And then we can set our customer ID. So to make sure that we know which customer did order something, to place an order, but we don't have a primary key at this point. We have a foreign key, so we can delete this out. And we can set db.foreign key for a yes, and say customer.id. So here we set down, we make the relationship between our order here and our customer at this point. And again, we want to make a representation and say we have a string of our order with our description. Okay, so now we have customers and orders defined here, and we can, in the next step, we can make our table for our orders. So again, we are in our terminal and can say Flask db migrate minus m. Now we have our orders table. So yes. And like before, we need to upgrade, so we can rewrite it down to our database. So at this stage where we did not upgrade this to our database, it isn't already written into it. So we can make every change we want, but after we write it down into our database, we need to be sure that we really want to have this there. So instead we have to delete this with other functions. But here we want to upgrade. What have I done? Flask DB upgrade. Okay, so now we set our empty database, we set our tables from our customers, and now we want to make something content. We want to fill our database. And for this way, we can make different things. So one thing we can write code inside our Python program. So even if we can make a new file and write down some functions, which we can call, and to say do this and that with our data. But at this point, to make this a little bit quicker, I want to show this with in a Python terminal. So this is pretty much the same in a Python terminal. So here we have files for it and call them or let them run, and here we have our Python terminal. So at first we want to import our database, and we want to import our customer and our orders, so our both tables. So because we want to write something inside these ones. Okay. I have to. No, this doesn't make anything better. So perfect. Okay, so at first we needed to import our things, our programs, and then we can write something in our database. So this what you see here on the right hand side, we do now add inside a Python terminal, but you can also run something like this in your PyCharm code, also in your Python files. Okay, but at first we want to make a customer, and this customer has the ID 12345 and a username Lars. And then, so what we've done, and an email. Yeah, email is pretty important. Oh, he has an example mail, .de. So this is our first customer we want to integrate in our database. So now we created an object which is called C, and with the db.session.add we add now our customer. So with this expression db session.add we add our customer into the database. Because this is a from class customer, we can create this so we know where we do integrate this. So, but to write this down, so to have this written down inside our database, we need to commit. So we can make session.commit. So instead, if we do not make any commit and we break up, nothing will happen. So after this commit, we wrote it down into our database. Okay, so let's make another customer, or let's just make an order. So we have orders, and we have an order ID at the beginning. So, and this order 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have a description, and we have a chair, for example. And now we have to fill in our customer ID, which is before our customer, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can show them which is the customer. So our customer is C, because we stored this before in this C. So we can show them, okay, this is the customer, to make the relation from customer to the order. Okay, and we stored this inside. Did I made a string from this? Would be false. So we stored this inside NO, and now again we have to add this to our database, like before. Add. And then again we have to commit this one. So after the commit, it is written down in our database, commit. Okay, so here we have it again, one customer we created and added to the database, and one order which we created and which is related to our customer. So if we really want to, we can make another customer. Let's make another customer. Then it looks a little bit more if there's something inside. If we show what's going on. So we have a new customer which has the ID 54321 and which is called Kevin with the email example. So this is our new customer. So we have two customers. Again, we have to add this stage.add, and then we need to commit, and to make a new order where we can write down our customer, which should make a second order. Orders, customer ID, order ID, sorry, ID which is 9837, and a description which is now a TV, and we have the customer ID of our former customer, which is 54321, and again we have customer which is C, just stored inside the C here. Let me see if everything's, yeah, this should work. Okay, and again, as before, we have to add our order to database, and then we have to commit. So now we have a database with 2 tables and 2 entries for each table, which we created here, which we filled inside here. Okay, now we want to visualize our database on our web application. This means we do now create a new class which stands for our table. At first, we have to install our pip Flask table. so that we can make such tables, so that we can make this table and column. So while this is installing, but we can create our tables file. Tables. And here do we have only tables for our customer and for our order class. So we import from Flask table. Import table and column. It's called here. So we have the classes customer table, which inherits from table. So this table is from this Flask table, so that we can visualize this with our on our web application. And we have an ID, which is a column called ID. So this string here, what we see here is the column name. So this is what already also is represented on the web platform. So we do only have to write down what our columns mean. And this is username. And we have the email, which is called mail. So this is our custom table, and after this we make our orders table. Also inherits from table because we want to make a table, and this has the order ID. It's called a column with the order ID, and we have the description, which is again a column called description. And our customer ID, so from the customer who placed the order. So customer ID. Okay, so this is our table. We want to show this table on our web application. So we have here showed how the tables look like as an integral structure. And after this, we have to integrate them with a file called HTML. So don't be afraid about the HTML file. This is to show what will be shown on the web application, but it's pretty easy and pretty simple at this point. So the only thing we have to make sure is that we have a body where our tables should be inside. So we call it table 1 and table 2. This one table is for the customers and the other table is for the orders. So this is it. So we can make a new directory. We have the form. Okay, so we have a new directory called templates. Directory templates, where these ones can be stored. I'm not sure. Do we have to? No, this should be here inside the app. And there we need to make a HTML file templates. No, tables. Sorry. Tables. And this be done set before. So what we have here, this is automatically created at this point, but we want to change the title, which is our data visualization. And here we have the body. So what's in the body will be shown on the web page down below. So we can have something in your head at this, so some meta information and something else, but we want to concentrate on the body, where we do only want to show our two tables, which should be shown pretty easy. So we have our table 1. So these are only names for the tables. So you can name this however you want. So don't have to name this table 1 and table 2, but it's a little bit more easier right now to make this way. The only thing we show, so now at this point we show two tables and they are both below. So there are pretty much more options you can set here for some visualizations if you want to, but you don't have to, even in a project. So in the project, if you really want to make some cool visualizations, this is pretty fine. but you don't have to, because this is a Python course and no web course at this point. Okay. What we do have now, we want to visualize our tables onto our web application. This means we need to go back to our roots where we have our functions, which will be shown after the URLs. And for this, we make a new function, which is called tables. So, and we have to import some new things because we are working with some new stuff. So we need to import tables and models, and we need to import from Flask render template. This is a function inside Flask where we can simply use to render the template so that there can be shown and look a little bit nicer. So what you see, this looks not that nice, but we will see. So we have our root. This is called then tables. And we want to create tables. Okay, and for this, we have two tables we want to create. The first one is a customer table, so we need to firstly become our data. So for this, we may have our customer DB at this point. So and then from our models, where our customers are, so we have our customer, and this is models from customer. This is our customer table from our database. So this is pretty important to know. And then we can make query and all. So this means in database we have to work with queries, but this is rather simple at this stage. And with all, we become all data from our customers. So now in our customer DB variable, we do have all our customers inside our database. And then we want to create our table. So we make a table for the customers, and this is tables.customer. This is from our tables.py, and then we say customer DB. So we have here so a table we want to show, and we created the object tables customer. This is from here, this one, and we gave them our database with that, so our information from there, so the customer DB. And last but not least, we want to have a table customers border. So border is just to make sure that we can see where it ends. So we have a border around this. So again, the same thing we were doing for our orders. So orders DB equals models dot orders, and again we want to query all. So we want to have all the data, and then we can make our order table. Same structure than before. Orders DB. So, and again, we want to make sure that we can see something. This tables. We have sorry. What have I done? Dot border. I'm sorry. Dot border equals 2. Okay. So, and now we have our two tables we want to show, and we have to return them for the return function. And now it become the render template. And this is what Flask makes for us. So Flask renders the template for us, and so we don't have to do this by our own, but we have to show them where's the HTML file. So then we have the tables.html where we did declare our stuff. Tables.html. And here what we have, here's the table 1 and table 2. These two tables are these ones we declared here, table 1 and table 2. So if we gave them another name, we need to make sure to write down another name as well here. So here we have table 1, which is our table customer, and we have table 2. We have our table 2, which is our order, our table order. Okay, and this is it. So we do now can look how it see how it looks like if we make Flask 1 and run our app. And after this, we can see, hopefully see what it looks like. So we are here at our index, which is hello world at the same point, but we need to go to tables. And if we go to tables, we can see what we've written down inside our database. So these are the information which are inside our database. So I'm not sure if I can show you the database. I have to look, and I have to. So there's for SQLite, there's a you can see what's inside your database if you're installed. I think you need to install this yet. But we can look at this point. We have SQL database. So if I open the file, this is exactly this file here, the app.db, where we put down our information, or we stored our information, and we can we make this a little bit more? No, I'm not. I think not. I think I cannot zoom this in. But if we look down into our database, we have our customers here and our orders. And this is what you become from us for your project. So you become a database which is already filled in with customer and data and order data, and you have to work with them to make some analysis and to become something out of some properties, or to make sure to visualize something, or to work with the database as well. Okay, I think this is pretty much the start. This is it for Flask today. I'm not sure if there are any questions because we have only few members for this lecture, but for Flask, feel free. You have for the project, you have about 10 weeks from now, from tomorrow on. We start tomorrow at 10 p.m. a.m. Hopefully the Moodle platform is up again, so we can give you the information and the material. So if not, we will change a little bit about the deadline and the submission deadline, so you have the time like before. So this depends on Moodle right now how we can go on, but later on at the exercise courses will be the exact same course as always. You can also ask questions about the project, about Flask. So, but we can only upload the things if the Moodle platform is up again. But if everything works as planned, we start tomorrow at 10 a.m. So you become your groups. So those who already wrote an email become the group member for sure. And those who want to make the project, who registered at the Moodle platform or with email because Moodle platform was down, you become one member. Or if we have three members, maybe 3, and we are not sure. This depends on how many people are registered for the project. Okay, you have time until the end of February. So this is Sunday, 28 February, and after that, we are not sure when the exams will, because of Corona, if there are some delays, but we want to make short presentations of the project, about 10 minutes, maximum of 5 to 10 minutes, where you can shortly show us what you implement and what you visualized and what you found out in the data. And this is be done after the exam, so you don't have to make presentations while the exam is time. This is done afterwards, and so this depends also how this behaves with the exam. So you will have maybe more time for the project even after February. So we will see. Okay, what you have to do for the project is to implement like a demo web application, which can be pretty simple if you want to. If you don't want to make too much effort in learning Flask, because you don't have to learn Flask too good. But if you want to, you can make pretty cool visualizations of your data. So this could be also possible. You have to develop functions to work with the database, to add new data to the database, to delete data from the database, or to edit some data. So this should be pretty basic functions, and you will need to analyze and visualize the data of your database. So you need to have a look, you need to have to analyze, you need to look what do we have for attributes and what can you do, what can you express with the data. This is pretty the core of the project. Okay, so if there are no questions left, I'm not sure. So if you have questions, or if you look, if the Moodle platform is up again, the exercise courses will take place even after the winter holidays. So if you have questions after the winter holidays with your project, there will be a last lecture at Monday, 4th January. There will be last lecture, but the exercise courses will take place also in January, so you can ask questions for the project if you want to. And yeah, I think this is it for now. If you don't have questions, we can. Yeah, it's pretty early. We didn't take more than an hour, but I think this course, because there are not that much members for the lecture, and I also calculated some time for questions, which we didn't have here. But this is not that bad, so we can finish here. So I will wait, because of the delay of the stream, I will wait 2 minutes, and then we can finish this lecture for today. And so feel free to ask into the exercise courses as well if you know. And for the exercise sheets, don't be afraid. We will lengthen the submission deadline. So some submitted their solutions per email, which is pretty okay, which is pretty cool. But you do also then submit them for do also submit them after the Moodle platform is up again, so we can wait them as well. So we will lengthen the delayed submission deadline. Okay, I think this was it for today. I'm just waiting for 1 minute. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I would thank you for your attention, and that you did it somewhere here inside this lecture, also because the Moodle platform was down. Have a nice week and good luck with the project. See you tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow you can start with the project, and good luck, and have a nice winter holiday, and Happy New Year after we don't see us. Yeah, so goodbye. Oh.